Fable is an action role-playing video game series that is exclusive to the Xbox consoles. The most recent numbered entry in the series, Fable 3, was released back in 2013, and now fans are anticipating a Fable 4 announcement soon. Let's break down everything we know about Fable 4, the new developer, story, and leaks. As always, all the links to the sources will be posted in the description below, so make sure to check that out and support those articles. And with that out of the way, let's get into everything we know about Fable 4. Lionhead Studios has been the studio behind the Fable series since the beginning. Now, the first two entries in the series were very well received and sold great, and Microsoft was very happy with those games. But as the timeline became shorter and the requests became more often, the third game became harder to finish. And because of that, Fable 3 was released too early and was rushed out to get into the hands of players. And there was even wasted development time working on Kinect integration for the game that didn't end up making it into the final version that was released. And although Fable 3 sold well and was received well by fans, the studio felt it was not a worthy successor to Fable 2. Eventually in 2012, 2 years after the release of Fable 3, the studio was at a breaking point. Important developers and other veterans at the company all quit on the same day to protest the management style of Peter Molyneux, the co-founder of Lionhead. They appreciated everything he had done for the company and understood that he was the driving creative force behind the game series, but just wanted a few changes to happen if they were going to continue working for him. Eventually that led to Peter Molyneux announcing that he was going to leave the studio completely, so Microsoft wanted the team to move forward with a new entry in the Fable series that would follow the games as a service microtransaction model and would not be a single player experience. But there was a pitch at the time for a Fable 4 from the team, and this is kind of the unreleased pitch. He wanted to make the switch to Unreal Engine 4 and move the series into the technological industrial age. With tram cars and flying machines, we wanted to hit the late Victorian proper. In the first Fable, Brownstone was a small town, in Fable 2 it was a big town, in Fable 3 it was a city, in McCormick's Fable 4, Brownstone was London, vast and dense. Jack the Ripper would run the streets, a Balverine in disguise. The game would lean heavily on British mythology. McCormick planned to take Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, give them a Fable twist, and drop them in. It was this kind of weird, messed up London environment, and that was going to be Fable 4, and it would be darker and grittier. And because it was R-rated, it would have the prostitutes and the humor. Obviously, Microsoft did not move forward with this pitch for Fable 4, so instead the team started working on what Microsoft wanted them to work on, which was a games as a service, multiplayer Fable experience, which ended up becoming Fable Legends. Microsoft greenlit the project, and the team struggled with it from the start because they had never done monetization in a game before or done a 4v1 multiplayer game before either, and in March of 2016 it was announced that Fable Legends would be cancelled and Lionhead Studios would be shut down. But that is not the end of Fable 4, or I would not be making this video, and the head of Xbox, Phil Spencer, took to Twitter in 2017 when a fan asked about the future of Fable. Now, Phil didn't have to say anything or even respond to this tweet considering how many he probably gets daily, but he did respond to it, and I think even at that point it was a good sign for the franchise, and it means that Microsoft is okay with moving the franchise forward with a new developer. And Phil Spencer's tweet just said he had nothing to announce right now, but I do think the IP has a lot of places to go. And it's nice to hear that they had ideas, even in 2017, about what the future of the franchise could hold. And it also means that Microsoft is okay with moving the franchise forward with a new developer. Considering Lionhead Studios shut down, they would have to get a new developer because it wouldn't be possible to bring the studio back. And it did not take too much time after that for the leaks to start with Fable 4. In January of 2018, there was an Xbox API leak which gave information on unreleased games. One of the games that was mentioned is Fable 4, and according to the leak, Microsoft now has Playground Games working on the franchise, who's known mostly for the Forza Horizon series, and the codename for the project is Wisdom. Now, it's important to note that the leak did not outright say the game is being developed by Playground Games, but instead the leak said, quote, "A UK studio should do it." And the whole reason they said should do it is because this leaker did not want to get in trouble for leaking things, so he posted all the leaks as his ideas. So he said, I would really love a Fable 4. A UK studio should do it, which is his way of saying Fable 4 was a part of this leak, and a UK studio is working on it. 2 weeks after the leak, Eurogamer started digging into Fable 4 and researching the new project, and they found that a new AAA Fable project was indeed being worked on. They also were able to confirm that Playground Games, which is a UK developer, is working on the project for Microsoft, and they heard, quote, "The new Fable is planned as a story and character-focused, open-world action RPG. A significant investment in its development is also planned, with some 200 people set to work on the game at Playground's newly established second office." They did go on to say that fans should not expect to see the game anytime soon, and as of January 2018, the game was still in very early development. Playground Games was still working on getting their staff from the current size of double digits up to the triple digits 200 number. And Eurogamer was told that Microsoft has decided to ditch the free-to-play game as a service model for a true single-player experience after seeing the success of Horizon Zero Dawn for PlayStation and the exclusivity for the PS4, which sold very well, and it reinvigorated Microsoft's faith in single-player games. And in terms of what to expect from this game, Eurogamer said, quote, "This new Fable is seen as something of a clean break, and while all Fable Legends assets were backed up after Lionhead shut down, the expectation is Playground is starting from scratch as it bids to revive the Xbox exclusive franchise." And then even more news was given when it was announced that Playground Games, the developer behind the new Fable, was purchased by Microsoft and was being brought on as a first-party developer for them. And it makes sense that Microsoft would not just trust any developer with the Fable franchise, and Microsoft would still want complete control over any developer that's working on a franchise with the scope of Fable for them. And then in June of 2019, there was a leak on Reddit, quotations around the word leak. It has basically been disproven, but let's just touch on it quickly. But the leak included a video as well, so I'll be playing that while I discuss everything. But the leak said, the new Fable will have first/third person gameplay, an in-depth character creator, it will be completely open, they've ditched guns, we can ignore main quests and never become a hero. Players can build towns, which ties into the main quest heavily if you get the bad ending and fail. The game will be multiplayer, the game will be on the Unreal Engine, and for a quick description, they say Albion and Aurora are gone, lands reduced to fables. The Spire was rebuilt and used by a mad king to wish that an asteroid would strike the planet. He also wished that it would happen again in the far future, eons later, and everything is new. Medieval themed, new continents, and you have to stop the destruction of the planet again. Theresa and a heroes guild are preserved on another planet via a demon door. Time travel heavily involved in play, and Jack of Blades returns. Now, none of this sounds too crazy. Multiplayer does seem to go against everything that was said in the Eurogamer report, but it's not completely out of the question. The timing of the leak is not bad either. It had been a year since the Eurogamer report came out, so it could be that they've gotten far enough in development where they started making some of these decisions. Something that goes against this leak is when it was posted, which was June 3rd, which was a little over a week before E3, which is always a time that fake leaks are posted. And the video itself is a mixture of existing and fan videos, which ruins the whole credibility of this post, considering they said this was some early gameplay and some early looks at the game itself. So for the most part, this leak is debunked and fake. I think it's worth mentioning just in case people bring it up and still think it's real, or if you never saw the video before, because that was one of the first things removed on this post. And then in September of 2019, we got news about new hires at Playground Games, all of whom worked at Rocksteady on the Arkham Batman series, which got fans excited due to how well the Arkham games had been received, especially in the writing department. It is not confirmed that they are working on Fable, but it doesn't make sense to have this caliber of writers for a Forza game. Along with that, there were also job listings that have been posted from Playground Games for a, quote, entirely new AAA open world action RPG. Some fans have pointed this out as meaning Fable, but working on an entirely new RPG have left some other fans cautious and wonder if the wording is tied to them wanting to reboot the Fable series. But basically, Fable 4 has gone on to be one of the worst kept secrets in gaming. The Xbox Games marketing manager responded to a question about the game during an Inside Xbox episode and said, quote, "We have some surprises planned, I'll leave it at that." The game also showed up on Mixer as a game that you are able to stream, and Mixer obviously is owned by Microsoft when it was active. Now, some people said it just can autofill information, but either way, there's just so many hints of it popping up everywhere. Basically, fans know what's happening, they're just waiting for when we actually get to see it. Now, there was another leak from an alleged industry insider in 2019 with more information about Fable. They claim that the new game from Playground Games is Fable, but they aren't sure if it will actually be called Fable or will be a new start to the Fable franchise. They state that the game started development in late 2017 and is being developed as a next-gen title only. They said the game has a release of 2021 at the earliest, and that the initial plan was to show off the game at E3 2019 and in 2020 make a bigger announcement, which obviously did not happen. It could be for a multitude of reasons, so none of this information is exclusive, and the information that was exclusive with an announcement at E3 did not end up happening. So basically, this leak, a lot of what they talk about has already been confirmed. Now, the only credibility that I could find as to why they wouldn't announce it at E3 2019 is actually when Phil Spencer went on to talk about Fable with Kotaku, and this was after E3, and he was asked about the future of the game series. Phil said, quote, "I love that Fable came to Xbox One backwards compatibility. I want to make sure that when we talk about things to come, whether it's Fable or not, that the team feels very solid about what they're doing. I can go through my battle scars. Marvel MMO. Anyone remember us announcing a Marvel MMO? We didn't even have a team that was signed that would do the Marvel MMO. Running a studio organization and making sure we're talking about games at the right time when we know what we're trying to build. I'm not making any comment specifically about Fable, it's about anything in the portfolio that we know what we're trying to build, that we have a good sightline on the quality that we're shooting for and some idea of when it would come out." Now, this question itself almost lends more credibility to the leak that they did consider showing off a trailer for Fable 4 at E3 2019, and it definitely could have been planned at one point, and Phil Spencer could have pulled back at the last second, deciding for one reason or another, or the studio could have come to him and said, "The game is not ready, let's not show it off yet, let's wait." And then eventually it could have just led to more delays because of the global pandemic, which is why we still haven't seen the game. So I'm not saying the leak is true, but the interview does lend more credibility to the leak, and it makes it sound as if things were planned, got pulled at the last second, and now they're waiting because they don't want to rush the game. So where does that leave us now? The game is being developed by Playground Games. Microsoft is still building up the studio with more workers and some of the best people in the industry so they can create a massive game to compete with Horizon Zero Dawn. If the leaks are to be believed, the earliest the game will be released is 2021, which seems more and more likely, but it's possible we could see a teaser at the end of this year. We also know the game will be a reboot, allegedly, of some sort, whether it will continue on to be Fable 4 or will just be a Fable game. No numbers, just restarting it from scratch. I think there's a lot of ways that this game could go, and I think it's very exciting to see what Microsoft has in store for this title, and if they have learned from their mistakes and are ready to make a sequel fans have been waiting for. But that's where I'm going to end this video. Make sure to like and share, subscribe for weekly gaming news, and I will see you guys in the next one.